Hey guys, Zane from the Infinite Jukebox here with another quick album review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Westside Gunn album, 10. 10 is the latest studio album from rapper and Griselda rap collective member Westside Gunn, an individual who has pulled out some pretty great stuff over the past few years, and this is his latest studio album, 10, the latest entry in his Hitler Wears Hermes album slash EP slash mixtape series, a series that has really been going on for his entire career at this point, or at least the entire noteworthy portion of his career, let's face it. So to have another entry is always nice, but there's been a lot of entries, obviously, at this point in the Hitler Wears Hermes series, and with so many entries being made, kind of makes you wonder how often he can really hit the mark and how many times he will miss the mark. And most of the time, surprisingly, Westside Gunn does not miss the mark. Most of the time he does some great stuff that really proves to be a somewhat highlight in hip-hop for the year, at least for me personally, but here on 10, it's just unfortunately not so. Westside himself sounds fine, but at the same time, this is far from his best performance overall, and the beats here are shockingly uninteresting, which is kind of disheartening considering who's behind this album. I mean, you have absolute legends and legends in the making like Pete Rock, Swizz Beatz, and even The Alchemist up here at different points on 10, but not once throughout this entire album is there an instrumental that's actually striking or engaging in any way. Actually, if anything, most of the time the instrumentals don't necessarily match either Westside Gunn or the featured artists' respective flows and delivery styles. They often feel a bit too thrown together, maybe a bit too grimy here or there, maybe a bit too light here or there, a bit too thin. And overall, I just think that aspect of the album is particularly weak and mostly holds it back. Look, this wouldn't have been one of the better Westside Gunn albums. Hell, it wouldn't have even been one of the better Hitler Wears Hermes albums, even if the instrumentals were better, just because this is not one of Gunn's best works to date in terms of performance and style and lyricism, but at the same time, it would have been a better album if the instrumentals actually had something to say other than average East Coast hip-hop. Thankfully, you do have some pretty solid guest appearances and featured verses here from the likes of A$AP Rocky and Run the Jewels, including Busta Rhymes' appearance on Science Class, which is actually one of the better verses that he's dropped in the past few years, and really it's just a shame it wasn't on a better album. But then again, you also do have the incredibly underwhelming 10-minute long posse cut Red Death, which is shockingly disappointing, actually, considering not only is it Westside Gunn, but a variety of other incredibly talented individuals, including Rome Streetz and his fellow Griselda member Conway the Machine. Really, it just is a song that could have been a lot better, really should have been a lot better, and even needed to be a lot better because it just doesn't stick after multiple listens. There isn't a single remembrance-worthy line throughout that entire song. It's just not a memorable track at all. It fails to actually achieve anything, and overall, it kind of feels self-indulgent in that none of the MCs on the track have anything to actually say. So overall, 10 isn't awful, but it's also not the best example of what Westside Gunn can do. This is one of his weakest albums to date, to be sure. There's nothing even remotely memorable about this album, except for a couple of guest features that managed to save it from not being a total failure overall, so this isn't a bad album, it's just painfully mediocre. I'm going to give this record 2.5 stars out of 5. With that being said, that's the end of this quick review. I've been Zane from the Infinite Jukebox. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.